Well, yeah. So yeah. So after being born as a deer, in the next life he
Now we
was born
cannot.
as a human being.
Now I cannot see that. Hello.
Yeah, yeah. Hello,
Now I cannot see database.
database. Okay.
You need to reshare, I guess.
Problem. Yeah. I'll share the screen itself. Okay. Now you can see my WhatsApp tab, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Database tab.
Yeah. Okay. So we were discussing about Bharat Maharaj. So Bharat Maharaj, although born as a after his dear life, he was born as a human being, but he decided to behave like a madman.
Mm-hmm.
So he was not following instructions of the superiors properly,
Yeah.
and then superiors also thought that he's a useless fellow. He
Mm-hmm.
cannot make money. He cannot survive on his own. So so his superiors used to use him for very menial activities. Like he was made to stand arm. Like there is a to stay to keep the birds away. So in that way, he was made to stand with the widened arms and all those things. So such things were being done. He was mistreated, and he was okay with that. Whenever he was behaving like so that he may not get attached to this material world.
Mm-hmm.
So in the similar manner, in the similar fashion, he was walking beside a road, and there was a king passing by, and the king was in need of one man, strong, hefty man, who can uh, lift the palanquin on which the king was sitting.
Okay.
So three of them were lifting, and the fourth one they saw Jada Bharata and they called him. Now that king, his name was Raghuguna. That Raghuguna, when Jada Bharata was told to lift, then he lifted, and he was walking. But while walking, he was taking care that the ants below his feet should not be harmed. The ants should not die. So he was jumping to avoid stepping on the ants. He was jumping from one end to other. So the palanquin was moving up side by side and up and down. So it was happening due to Jada Bharata. So Raghuguna taunted that, see how weak fellow this is. He has not eaten anything from days. He cannot lift the palanquin properly. And then Jada Bharata tolerated, and he went on lifting. But again, when this same thing happened, then next time Raghuna got angry and told his servants to beat him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jadabharata said, "This life you are doing this same activities with me. Next life someone else will do the same activities with you." Now, this simple statement made Raghuguna think of his own knowledge and realization, and then he thought that this personality is not an ordinary person; he's a great person. So he immediately surrendered to Bharat Maharaj, and then Bharat Maharaj was became the guru of his entire dynasty, and then the story goes ahead. So the moral is that one should not be uh, negligent, or say one should not neglect his sadhana and not get attached to a menial, small, or say any material thing. This was moral number one. Second, one should always stay in the association of devotees. because if association is not there, then progressing is a little challenging task, because in association it gets very easy to follow all the things, but when one is alone, the mind starts cheating. Initially it will allure you that, oh, you are in very control, and then when you start listening to mind, then he will start showing its color, and then the fall down will start. So this is how mind works. And that's why one should not stay alone. One should try to find devotees either online or either offline somewhere, and take association of those devotees. Because if Bharat Maharaj would have been in association of someone, then they would have corrected him that, oh, Bharat Maharaj, now you are getting very much attached to this deer. You should focus on sadhana more rather than taking care of deer. Anyway, Lord will take care of this deer. Now the deer is capable of walking and he can eat his own grass by his own. So you may focus on your sadhana. Someone, a guiding element would have been there who would have guided Bharat Maharaj, but that thing was also not there. So association, sangha is important, as well as focus on what we do in sangha, that is sadhana. Both things are important to advance. All right. So today we will continue with the discussion.
Yeah,
We discussed till 6.44,
we discussed till
and
43, no?
yes, 43. Today we'll start from 44.
Yeah.
We'll recite the sloka. Purvabhyasena tenaiva
पूर्वाभ्यासेन तेनैव
ह्रियते यवशोऽपि सः
क्रियते ह्यवसोऽपि सा
जिज्ञासुरपि योगस्य
जिज्ञासुरपि योगस्य
शब्दब्रह्माति वर्तते.
शब्दब्रह्माति वर्तते.
Yes, you can read.
Yeah, translation. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles without even seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist always stands above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. Purport. Advanced yogis are not very much attached to the rituals of the scriptures, but they automatically become attracted to the yoga principles, which can elevate them to complete Krishna consciousness, the highest yoga perfection. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 3.33.7, such disregard of Vedic rituals by the advanced transcendentalist is explained as follows. अहो बतस्वपको चोगर्यान् यज्जिह्वरे वर्तते नाम तुभ्यं ते पुस्तपस्तेजुः सस्नुहर्या भ्रमाणोचुर्नाम granatiyate. O my Lord, persons who chant the holy names of your Lordship are far, far advanced in spiritual life, even if born in families of dog eaters. Such chanters have undoubtedly performed all kinds of austerities and sacrifices, bathed in all sacred places, and finished all scriptural studies. The famous example of this was presented by Lord Chaitanya, who accepted Thakura Haridasa as one of his most important disciples. Although Thakura Haridasa happened to take birth in a Muslim family, he was elevated to the post of Namacharya by Lord Chaitanya due to his rigidly attended principle of chanting 300,000 holy names of the Lord daily. Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama
Hare
Rama, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Rama, Rama
Because he
Rama,
chanted
Hare
the
Hare.
holy name of the Lord constantly, it is understood that in his previous life he must have passed through all the ritualistic methods of the Vedas known as Sabda Brahma. Unless, therefore, one is purified, one cannot take to the principles of Krishna consciousness or become engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord Hare Krishna.
Yeah,
Yeah, so uh, because of his previous life, he became attracted to the yogic principles without seeking them in the current life. That is because in his previous lives, he may have undertaken Vedic rituals, austerities, etc., so that that elevated him in the current life to undertake the highest stage of yoga perfection, which is Krishna consciousness.
Yes. So every single devotee who does chanting, who does arti, who does devotional service is far, far, far superior to all the people who are engaged in the process of karma kanda, jnana kanda, and the ritualistic activities. This is what Bhagavatam is saying. And this was the case with Haridas Thakur also, because even though he was born in the Muslim family, he has such a great taste for holy names. So, in the same way, even though one may be born in the dog eater's family, but if he is chanting the holy names of the Lord, then he is far, far superior, far, far advanced in spiritual life. Okay. Haridas Thakur used to chant 3 lakh holy names. That means 192 rounds. We were practicing chanting around 1 round a few months back, and 1 round used to take around 7 to 8 minutes. So
Okay.
imagine he used to chant 22 hours per day, and in remaining
300,
2 hours he used to.
there are not even that many seconds in a day, right? 300,000 holy names. One name can't even take 1 second, no? Okay.
You can do your material calculations.
Material calculation. Ah, okay.
He used to take 22 hours, as somewhere it was stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and in remaining 2 hours he used to uh, do his uh, Sandhya Vandan and all the other activities, including eating and sleeping also.
Then
So
sleeping
Haridas Thakur
also
also once,
within 2 hours.
yeah, within 2 hours. The advanced devotees do not need to sleep much because their body gets spiritualized.
Okay.
So they do not need this body to. The material body needs rest, but the spiritual body is always active. That is Sachitananda. It is ever
Mhm.
blissful, ever in full of knowledge, eternal body.
Mhm.
So slowly their body is turned into spirituality. Just like when we put iron in fire, no? By
Mhm.
constant exposure of fire to that iron, the iron turns into the properties which fire has. Means the iron turns red, right?
Yeah.
In the same way, our constant exposure to spiritual activities, our body turns into spiritual body.
Mhm.
We can even see this in Tukaram Maharaj case. He was so much absorbed in the chanting of the holy name. He used to chant day in and day out. At the end, his body was so much spiritual that the Vaikuntha Vimana itself came and he went in his original form, which in his original human form to Vaikuntha.
Mhm.
That is how the level of his spirituality was.
Okay.
So chanting of the holy names is like just like putting that iron rod into fire. So we are putting ourselves into the fire of that Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and we are slowly purifying by our anarthas and changing from the iron state to fiery state, or changing from the impure state to perfect or pure state.
Uh-huh.
This is the power of holy name.
Okay.
Okay, so let us continue. Let's see what Krishna says in next verse. Recite the next verse. Prayatnat yatmanastu
प्रयात्नाद्यतमानस्तु
yogi samshuddha kilbishah
योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषा
अनेक जन्म संसिद्धस
अनेक जन्म संसिद्धस्
ततो याति पराम गति.
तो यति पराम गति.
Kuli Prabhu can read.
Translation. And when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. Purport. A person born in a particularly righteous, aristocratic, or sacred family becomes conscious of his favorable condition for executing yoga practice. With determination, therefore, he begins his unfinished task, and thus he completely cleanses himself of all material contaminations. When he is finally free from all contaminations, he attains the supreme perfection, Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the perfect stage of being freed from of all contaminations. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.28. Yesham tava antagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam tedvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridvataha. After many, many births of executing pious activities, when one is completely freed from all contaminations and from all illusory dualities, one becomes engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord.
Yes, Prabhu.
So, in this verse, Krishna is telling that after engaging himself in the service of the Lord, uh, making further progress, he finally attains the supreme perfection. So, the true transcendentalist, the practitioner of Krishna consciousness, uh, he must be understood that it must be understood that he has already done all the righteous activities in his previous birth, and he does not need to do any of these karma kanda actions.
Yeah. So the point here
So
is Krishna now slowly. Oh, your voice is breaking, Prabhu.
yes, continue, Prabhu. You can continue.
Okay. So Krishna now is speaking about the comeback of the fallen devotee. So when Arjuna asks what happens to the person who falls down, he neither enjoys materially nor he cannot advance in spiritual life. Then Krishna says his progress is not stopped. He when he in next life whenever he starts from the level at which he stopped. So suppose he stopped at 50, then he starts from 51. Now in the same way, in that continuum itself, if you see in the last verse, Krishna said that what he said, that person uh, who is engaged in Krishna consciousness is far superior to those who are engaged in ritualistic activities. In the same way, now in this Krishna is saying that person who engage himself sincerely, he further makes advancement, and being washed off of contamination, he ultimately achieves the perfection after many births of practices. So this is how the living entity makes progress day by day. So in this life, if we are getting chance to practice, that means there is a possibility that we might be a yogi, be a seeker in our previous life. Or there can be another possibility that we might have got a mercy of, or say, unalloyed mercy of a pure devotee. His association is also one of the things which might have been as an impact to bring us into association. We'll study this verse in detail in 7.29 chapter. So this is also a famous verse. Okay, so we'll recite the next verse now.
Yeah.
Tapasvibhyo yogi.
Wait, still it didn't load, no? How were you able to read? Okay. Tapasvibhyo diko yogi.
Jnanibhyopi matodika.
Dhanibhyo pimatodika.
Karmibhyascha yogi.
Karmibhyaskatiko yogi.
Tasmad yogi bhavarjuna.
Tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. Yeah.
I'll
Translation.
read.
Yeah.
Yogi is better than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruity worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi. Purport. When we absolute truth, such a progress is named differently by various practitioners in terms of particular method adopted. When the linking process is predominantly in fruity activities, it is called karma yoga. When it is predominantly empirical, it is called jnana yoga. When it is predominantly in devotional relationship with Supreme Lord, it is called bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga or Krishna consciousness is ultimate perfection of all yoga, as will be explained in the next verse. The Lord has confirmed herein the superiority of yoga, but he that it is better than bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is full spiritual knowledge, and therefore nothing can excel it. As without self knowledge is imperfect. Empiric knowledge without surrender to Supreme Lord is also imperfect. Consciousness is a waste of time. Therefore, the most highly praised form of yoga performance mentioned here is Bhakti Yoga, and this is still more clearly explained in the next verse. So, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate thing. So, in that yoga process only, people named it in the different way. Karma Yoga is also yoga. Ashtanga Yoga is also yoga. Gyan Yoga is also yoga. Dhyan Yoga is also yoga, and Bhakti Yoga is also yoga. But there are gradations of how we apply that yoga. If we apply that yoga in fruity activities, it is karma yoga. If we apply in cultivating knowledge, it is jnana yoga. If we apply that yoga in cultivating devotional service, then it is bhakti yoga. So anyway, in any circumstance, Krishna is saying to Arjuna that be a yogi. So be a person who can link the transcendental, link oneself with the one's consciousness with higher consciousness. Okay, so
Yeah.
some statements are there. Bhakti yoga is full spiritual knowledge, and therefore nothing can excel it. And then in the next line, asceticism without self-knowledge is imperfect. So whatever jadoo kala we do, it is imperfect without knowledge of soul. And empiric without surrender is imperfect. And fruity work without Krishna consciousness is a waste of time. So material engagement without having Krishna consciousness is also useless. So it is better to perform yoga and utilize those all three things in Krishna's service. All right. Next verse will recite. I guess this will be the last verse of the chapter. It is a famous verse. Yoginam api sarvesham
Yoginamapi sarvesham
madgatenantaratmana
Madgatentaranatmana
Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam
Shraddhavan bhajate yo mam
tame yukta tamo masa.
Tame yukta tamo mata.
Okay, now you can read.
Yeah, translation. And of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. Purport. The word bhajate is significant here. Bhajate has its root in the verb bhaj, which is used when there is need of service. The English word worship cannot be used same sense as budge. Worship means to adore or to show respect and to honor the worthy one. But service with love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can avoid worshipping a respectable man or a demigod, may be called discourteous. One can avoid worshipping a respect and may be called discourteous, but one cannot avoid serving the Supreme Lord without being thoroughly condemned. Every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus every living entity is intended to serve the Supreme Lord by his own constitution. Failing to do this, he falls down. The Bhagavatam confirms this as follows. Ya esam purusam saksad atma prabhavam ishwaram na vajanti avajnananti stanad bharatas patanti atha. Anyone who does not render service and neglects his duty unto the primeval Lord, who is the source of all living entities, will certainly fall down from his constitutional position. In this verse, the word bhajanti is used. Bhajanti is applicable to the Supreme Lord only, where the word worship can be applied to demigods or to any other common living entity. The word avajananti, used in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, is also found in the Bhagavad Gita. Avajnanti mam buddha. Only the fools and rascals deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Such fools take it upon themselves to write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita without an attitude of service to the Lord. Consequently, they cannot properly distinguish between the word bhajanti and the word worship. The culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are but means to come to the point of Bhakti in Bhakti Yoga. Yoga actually means Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are progressions towards the destination of Bhakti Yoga. From the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga is a long way to self realization. Karma Yoga without fruitive results is the beginning of this path. When Karma Yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, the stage is called Jnana Yoga. When Jnana Yoga increases in meditation on the super soul by different physical processes and the mind is on him, it is called Ashtanga Yoga. When one surpasses the Ashtanga Yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, it is called Bhakti Yoga, the culmination. Factually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal, but to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. The yogi who's progressive is therefore on the true path of eternal good fortune. One who sticks to a particular point and does not make further progress is called by that particular name. Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, Dhyana Yogi, Raja Yogi, Hatha Yogi, etc. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, it is to be understood that he has surpassed all other yogas. Therefore, to become Krishna conscious is the highest stage of yoga. Just as when we speak of Himalayan, we refer to the world's highest mountains, of which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the culmination. It is by great fortune that one comes to Krishna consciousness on the path of Bhakti Yoga to become well situated according to the Vedic direction. Ideal yogi concentrates its attention on Krishna, who's called Shama Sundara, who's as beautifully colored as a cloud, whose lotus like face is as effulgent as the sun, whose dress is brilliant with jewels, and whose body is flower garlanded, illuminating all sides is his gorgeous luster, which is called the Brahma Jyotir. He incarnates in different forms such as Rama, Narasimha, Varaha, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he descends like a human being as the son of his mother Yashoda, and he is known as Krishna, Govinda, and Vasudeva. He is the perfect child, husband, friend, and master, and he is full with all opulences and transcendental qualities. If one remains fully conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called the highest yogi. This stage of highest perfection in yoga can be attained only by Bhakti Yoga, as is confirmed in all Vedic literature. Yasya deve para bhaktir yatha deve tatha gaurau tasyalte kadita hiyartha prakashante mahatmana. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge ultimately revealed. Petaswara Upanishad 6.23. Bhakti Rasya Bhajanam Ted Ihamutropadi Nairasye Musmin Mana Kalpanam Etadeva Naiskarmyam. Bhakti means devotional service to the Lord. It is free from desire for material profit, either in this life or in the next. Devoid of such inclinations, one should fully absorb the mind in the Supreme. That is the purpose of Naiskarmya, Gopala Tapani Upanishad. These are some of the means for the performance of bhakti or Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of the yoga system. Thus send the Bhakti Vedanta purpose to the sixth chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of Dhyana Yoga. Yeah. So it is being said that the ultimate goal of a yogi is to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga. The other yogas are intermediate stages in order to come to Bhakti Yoga. And there is this word called bhajanti. Bhajanti is not the same as worship. So uh, while worship means to adore or show respect, bhajanti means actually having complete faith in the person, isn't it?
Yeah, complete
Okay.
surrender.
Yeah, so the difference between bhajanti and worship is that worship is just doing for namesake, whereas bhajanti is doing with love and faith.
Yes.
Mhm. Okay.
Bhajanti is only applicable for Supreme Lord.
Okay. Why can't somebody else be? Why is it not applicable to somebody else? Why can't we have faith on somebody else? Why can't somebody else be adored and shown love and faith?
Based on what? Like, what is your basis? Is it
Uh,
scriptures or is it your mind or what?
can be even mind also, right?
Then you can't trust it.
Yeah.
If it is authentic, you worship it. If it is coming from your mind, then it is mental speculation.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do do japa of Coca-Cola, but it will have no effect
Yeah.
because there is no power in those names.
Mm-hmm.
But the holy names as they are holy, they contain immense power. They will purify your hearts. Within 3-4 months itself, your bad habits will start to the gross bad habits will go, and slowly subtle purification will start. Your heart will start cleaning. Slowly, your anger will reduce. Your lust will reduce. Greed will reduce,
Mm-hmm.
and the cleanliness process starts by the chanting of the holy name because they contain immense power. Whereas these material names, which comes out of our mind, they are uh, not so powerful. They are not at all powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So because these things are being authentic and been authenticated by scriptures, we follow them. So
Mm-hmm.
in that context itself, Sri Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and therefore we should the bhajanti is only used should be used for Sri